That's good. And you have to actually care to want to hear what your child is attempting to convey to you. And I'm sure, Dr. Henry, having grown children, you know how after a certain age, your children don't necessarily want to tell you certain things. And so, that being the case, how do you think the quality time spent before they get to that stage in life affected your children being close with you later?
Well, I think I will start by confessing I probably didn't always do it as well as I would like. You know, as you said, being a missionary, full time ministry, there was a lot of things. You know, you wear a lot of hats. Where sometimes one of those hats was being a father, right? And so there was a lot of this taking off and taking on, and of course, being in a ministry type setting, um, they're aware of how that can pull you away. So that quality time, that being transparent, let there be some communication. I found that was actually better than trying to keep them protected, because
Mm.
if we try too much to keep them protected, we are only deceiving ourselves. They're smarter than we give them credit for.
Oh, yeah.
They know, they sense. And so just recognizing that, go ahead, it's kind of like, how much do you tell your child when they ask you about, sex education or whatever? You give them what they're ready for. And so when I say transparency, when they were younger, I couldn't, share a lot, but I had to share with something so that when they got older, I was able to share more. And I think that's part of, just being aware, being transparent is very important, but yet being aware of what is it that they're actually needing right now. When they ask a question, give them that, give them the answer that they require without going past, but then not diminishing their capabilities by coming up short. I don't know if that's, kind of helping, but that's kind of what I'm thinking about. Because I realize if I could go back, I'd like to readjust some of my, my priorities. But I'm grateful, that both of them are in my life. We have a good relationship. My
Mm.
son doesn't even live, near me anymore. So, there's that phase. But yet we connect, we get on phone calls or messages, and we get together a couple times a year just to maintain that connection.
Wow. Wow.
And that's so
Wow.
important, because part of that legacy is having that relationship after they are
Mm-hmm.
grown, having that
Mm-hmm.
relationship that says, hey, you know what, Dad, I got a problem. I need some help. And there's nothing more rewarding in everything that we've done, however much money we've made, however many clients we've had, however much time in ministry. There's just nothing more rewarding that when your adult child says, hey, you know what, I could use some help.
Yeah. Yeah. I would agree. I would
Yeah.
agree. Again, you're watching a special edition of Daily Truth with Dr. Ruth, Christ Center coach and family systems specialist. And we're talking today about what a man wants. And I'm sure you have been inspired thus far. So, without further ado, we're going to continue the conversation. And I just want to point out something. I was looking at an article and I was in shock. And this really furthered the reason why I knew I had to do this segment leading up to my free marriage revitalization masterclass. And you can look at the bottom of the screen to find out how to register for your free seat and join. But I saw this article listed and it said the Y chromosome is slowly vanishing. A new sex gene could be the future of men. Whoa. Huh. Now, as a
Wow.
Christ centered coach, obviously Christ is in it. And so the Bible says that God created male and female. There's no middle gender, there's no third, fourth, however many others they try to come up with. There's only two, male and female. And so Dr. Henry in our last question talked about telling your kids about sex. And I'm here to tell you, parents, that if you don't teach them about sex and teach them in a healthy manner, trust me, the world and society has an answer. And it's probably not what you want your child to learn. And so, considering the article title that I just read out, and about the topic of teaching your children sex, um, Dr. Henry and then Mr. Tubbs, can you please tell me, what do men actually want when it comes down to being a father? And I get it, Dr. Henry, you said something wonderful. Or should I say, how do you get to that world class relationship? And I call it world class because many men don't have good relationships with their adult children. It's the truth. I won't bring in the statistics right now, but obviously with the juvenile delinquency and just to let you know, that went up to age 24. So those are definitely not just teens, they're adults too. Up to age 24, there has been a serious increase in crime in juvenile delinquencies. And so when you consider some of the crimes, and a lot of these were not just thefts, but they were murders or sexually perverse crimes where rapes, molestations, things of that nature were taking place by and committed by juveniles. When you think about being a father and having that personal relationship with your child where you can go to them, and better yet, they can come to you and say, hey, I need to discuss something. How beneficial has that been, and how did you get to that point? How do you believe you got to that point, and how can other men get to that point where their grown children will want to come back and talk to them about deep personal things?
It's amazing how you do say all these things to lead up to one question, but there's really 25 of them within that.
Hey,
well, first of all, when you say, what does a man want? I think the problem is we've been facing too much or addressing too much of what we want rather than what we need.
Oh,
we need to be responsible. That's what a man needs to be. A man needs to be responsible. He needs to stay in control of his emotions, not reactive. We go back to Jesus as a biblical example. He was resilient, but yet he was gentle in spirit. He was humble in his service to others, but he was very authoritative. And so there is that balance. And I think what's happened, the reason for some of these statistics is we lost the father, in the home. Where is that guidance to be able to be humble and yet, authoritative? And I'll throw one more other thing in there, with this whole, gene thing. I think all we really have to do is go back to nature. There's a male lion, there's the female lion. Anything else that we do with science to, try to mix that all up and end up with the he, she, this, that, the other, and all we and they and me and the cat and everything else is just, I think I touched a lot of things right there for those that are aware. Where does that come from? It just comes from the lack of being comfortable in who we actually are. Mm-hmm. I am a male, but I can be gentle. I am a female, but I can be authoritative, and we all have our place to do those things. Where is that instruction in the home? We need to come back to that. And I don't mean get all old fashioned. I just mean, let's just get all right and be right.
Straight up. That is so true. Mr. Tubbs, before I talk any further, you speak into what the question and also what your colleague just spoke out. My word, that was good.
Oh man, that's so good. So good. And to piggyback, I have to piggyback. That is so good. For the male and the female, it just like, let me say it like this. By us getting those kind of stats, it was a stat that I heard. the number one reason why things are happening the way it is in our lifetime is because of absence, fathers being absent. And therefore, when those individuals take their place and understanding the foundation of everything, just like I love the word Holy Bible. My acronym for Holy Bible is He only left you basic instructions before leaving Earth. And just understanding, just ground yourself underneath the word of God and understanding this is how it's supposed to be. And I love what he said about nature. That is so good. The nature of the thing, it will always give you a glimpse, will always give you a glimpse of what's supposed to happen. Even though you don't, let's say you don't have no Bible to reference from. Just look at nature. That is a really good point. So just for understanding the foundation and just going towards and learning from the foundation, which is the Bible, and knowing what to do, being in your purpose, being in your place, then other people that seeing this, they will have an understanding of how I could be in that place of happiness. It's a lot of people look at me and my wife and my children and they say, man, I remember my daughter's friend said, I wish I had a dad like that because I was always there, being there. I remember I was teaching the whole track team how to run out of blocks because they was running, doing hurdles. And it just seems to be what children are looking for, presence and knowing what to do next. And just being in your right spot at the particular time and showing them the foundation of why you are there.
Wow. So not perfection, but presence.
Just presence.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I see so many men, and I have a brother, I have a lot of male friends, colleagues, and things of that nature. And I see so many men saying that they don't want to go around their child or their children if they're not married to the mother, or if they're married, I work 80 plus hours per week because I need to get more things. I need to give my child the latest video game. I need to take them on this trip. I need to buy them the best car when they make 3 A's or when they graduate college. I need to have the money to buy them a new house, all of these different things that you hear as to the reason why they are not spending not just quality time, they don't spend the quantity. So it's not being perfect, you said, it's being present. And I love something that was said maybe a few questions back, Dr. Henry, when you talked about being transparent. And that goes to not being perfect, but being present. And I think about, again, when I was a child growing up, knowing who my father was, seeing news clippings of him, knowing that it wasn't an oops in the night, there was a relationship there. And then at the end, he decided, well, you know what? I don't want to be a dad, so let me take off. And how I felt that there was a missing piece because I did not have that positive male role model, even if he could not be there all the time, at least some type of connection. And so before we go on any further and begin to wrap up, when and I love Dr. Henry said, it's not necessarily what the man wants, it's what he needs. And I totally agree with that. But people watching, you have to ear catchers, you need to be present. You need to be responsible. You need to be accountable. You made a baby or you adopted some kids. Well, however you got these children, you said yes to fatherhood. So be a dad.
Yes.
And so thinking about that, how do you think being transparent and being present affects the relationship with your spouse? And let me rephrase it. Being transparent and being present with your children, how does that affect the relationship with your spouse? Whoever wants to answer first.
I could jump in real quick. I could jump in. One of the things that my wife always tell me, she said, Willie, how you are so present with our children, it just makes me smile. I said, why does it make you smile? She said, it makes me smile because that's what I wanted whenever I was growing up. Her father was there, but he wasn't present at the beginning, but he became present later on. But in those mean times that you really need your father, and just me being present, I wrote this in my first book, Parents, It's Time to Reset. You must show your children your kryptonite. Show your children your kryptonite. Why? Because whenever you fall, and when they see that kryptonite come around, and whenever you fall, you get back up, teaching them how they can overcome circumstances and situations. And whatever the storm is, you still can do it. You still can get over it. And as I continue to show my daughters and show my wife what a man is supposed to do for a woman, as in, being married or being a father, it gives them hope. It gives them hope that there is something out there. I mean, it gives my daughters hope there is something out there that they can reach. So they just, there's no good men out there. No, have you been looking in the right spots? So therefore, by me being an example, it gives them hope. And my acronym for hope is help other people excel.
Wow. We all need some hope. Dr. Henry.
Well, I got a couple things that I'd like to say in reference to that, because, when we are present, let me say it this way. We know that the man is supposed to provide for the family, but somewhere along the line, we've got that to be the breadwinner, and that's what that means. But providing for the family means, leading in the family's destiny. Providing is I grew up in the era where for football, not soccer, but my son grew up in the era of soccer, was a soccer player. So I needed to give attention to that. I had to at least try to figure out who was who, so that I can relate, giving them that transparency to say, I'm willing, kind of showing that kryptonite. I know nothing about it, but if I showed interest, that connected. So I said all that to say this, and I know that, I'm only assuming adults are watching this, is that in reference to how that relates to your wife, let me tell you, when you are transparent with your children, you are going to get a better connection with her, if I can say it that way. She will get excited, if you know what I mean.
And I would agree with you, because you think about women are nurturers. And so when a woman sees her husband paying attention and being present with the children, and I mean present, not just there physically, but really awakened to these children. I'm learning about them. I'm taking interest in what they're doing, even if I don't understand it, even if I hate it. I want to know my child. It sends a ethereal signal to a woman like, whoa, hey, oh,
thank you for getting the right dialogue there.
It stirs the pot.
Yeah.
So men, what you need to do, if your boo is not paying attention to you, pay attention to your kids, and you will start a flame that you can't put out.
Yeah. Hey, just do the dishes once and watch what happens.
You see, when you learn the love language, and yes, there's women want, some women want gifts, some women want quality time, some women want you to help around the house, some women want you to say all these sweet words to them, and that may be their secondary, but their primary, take care of those children, be dad to those kids. And
Yeah.
even if you're not married and you want to marry this woman, and maybe you two have children, or she has a child, you have a child, however that dynamic works, you take interest, good, solid interest in that child and their well being. I'm sure she's going to let you put a ring on it. Okay.
Mhm.
Because you spoke in her language as a mom and as a wife. She feels safety there. She's like, well, I can trust that my child is going to be okay. And if this man is willing to be all in with our children, I know he's all in with me, because mom and kids are packaged. Even if you have them after you're married, because I understand there's a mixed multitude, so to speak. You have different family dynamics going on watching this. And so I can guarantee, men, if you get that one thing right, if you get that one thing right, no, don't be mean to her and be nice to the kids. But if you get that thing right, I can guarantee you'll stir up something that, Okay, guys, as we wrap it up, there are a few things that I took from this, and I want to speak to this. First thing I took from this was be there, or be present, be a support, be proactive, be a parent, be transparent and honest, get control, or be in control of you, not your emotions. And we see that a lot. And I love something: you don't have to be perfect. Just, and when I think about leaving a legacy, and I think about dads and what they have to pass on, Mr. Tubbs, Dr. Henry, when you pass on, what do you want to be said of you as far as legacy, not from others, but from your children and your wife?
Mm. Well, as for me, like I said, the promise I made to myself whenever um, my father wasn't in my life, I said, you know what? Whenever I become a parent, I will be a WCF, a world class father, or now I'm a world class husband too. Um, but one of the things that I love to do for legacy is to give them my thoughts. Give them my thoughts. What do I mean about that? What about those times that you can really articulate, but you can articulate it on the paper? So really just understanding the power of your own story,
Hmm.
Mhm.
understanding the things that you went through, exactly those times. Sometimes your children don't know. Sometimes your wife doesn't know what you went through. And so if they could just get a understanding of who you are by putting it on a piece of paper. The Bible says in Habakkuk, write the vision, make it plain. And also, the Bible says a good man will leave an inheritance to his children's children. See, I realize it's not, the inheritance is not just something physical. No, it's also something mental. And you give them your thoughts. Of course, write a book so they can understand why you are the way you are. And some of the times that you try to explain, but you couldn't explain why you act the way you do. But if they understand your story, they will understand how they can give you some glory.
All right.
Mhm.
Tell your story to your children. Leave it for them. That's good. That's
Mhm.
good. Dr. Henry, to you.
Well, this is the time it's not good to follow because that was pretty good. I think what I would like to leave with them is the fact that I would like them to be able to say that he was real.
Hmm.
Not that wasn't just the pulpit person, the in front person, the coaching person, or whatever, but that he was real, and that being me was good so that they can be them.
Hmm.
to be able to feel that that's okay just to be them. That's what I would like to leave them, so that they can do the same. When I think of like our brother said, if we can leave a legacy that leaves the legacy, thinking about not just the next generation, but the following one through our children and through our grandchildren, so that there is an ongoing heritage. I would like that to be said, that I was giving them the opportunity to realize that they get to be them and that they can pass that on.
That's good. That's good. In a world of fakes, in a world of copies, in a world of, you can't tell one person from the other because there's no identity. Being your authentic self and being able to pass on authenticity to your lineage and legacy is so important. And I'm so glad that you all said that. And I'm so glad that you were able to join me on today. Again, this has been a special with Dr. Ruth and your daily truth. We've done this special on what a man wants. And I love Dr. Henry said, nope, it's what a man needs. And that's the truth. A man needs so many things, and you'll want to go back and watch these different episodes and parts as we covered so much on today. And I really have enjoyed having these gentlemen on. And if you would just tell me, Mr. Tubbs and then Dr. Henry, how can someone get a hold of you should they want to utilize your services?
Yes, you could go to www.willietubbs.com and you will understand everything that I do. I'm a book writing coach. Not just that, I'm also an inspirational speaker. So you can find everything about me on www.willietubbs.com.
Thank you. Dr. Henry?
Well, for me, I am in transition in terms of our website and so forth, but I'm definitely easy to find on Facebook as Guy Henry. And definitely I could leave you my email because I love working with emails which is simply guy_Henry@mac.com if you are interested in anything else. And I could give you my website, but it's blank since I'm readapting and changing everything. So there's no reason to give that just yet. So.
Authenticity. I love it. And you can always reach out to me if you want to contact these gentlemen. And they are amazing gentlemen, amazing coaching practices. And of course, Dr. Ruth Charles can also reach out to drcharles.podia.com. And so thank you so much for joining me today on this episode of Daily Truth with Dr. Ruth. And as always, thank you again for joining me for another episode of your Daily Truth with Dr. Ruth. If you like what you've heard, please make sure you like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and leave a comment on other social media platforms. Share with a friend, a neighbor, or coworker that can really utilize the information that has been taught here today. For more information or a free consultation, or if you just need counseling or coaching or someone to talk to, reach out to me at Dr. Ruth at drruthcharles.com. That's DRRUTH at DRRUTHCHARLES.com. If you want a community of like-minded people that you can join in with that would understand you and you can offer solutions to them, feel free to join our Leader Live Leadership Facebook group. Again, that's Leader Live Leadership Facebook group. I'm looking forward to being with you on another episode. Until then, have a blessed and wonderful rest of your day. Bye-bye.